Hello and welcome to another update video about gold. Gold is still in this correction that we talked about already in the last video. And we talked about two possible support areas. The first one is broken, which means I have to assume that we are already at least in this fourth wave. Yeah. And I want to keep it quite simple. I mean, best I can tell, and that might still change. I mean, as you know, we're dealing with a diagonal pattern to the upside, which is tricky to track. But over recent months, gold followed the uptrend nicely. The only question now is, how deep is the overall pullback going to be? I mean, it's quite clear that we're now in a correction, right? The correction was expected already from the top. So if you watch the previous videos, that you know that we were watching for that correction. The correction unfolded and is still unfolding. So whenever we're in a correction, the assumption has to be we're in a downtrend until the market gives us a first 1-2 setup to the upside, like a first setup for the next uptrend, a first set of higher highs, higher lows. Well, I haven't seen that so far. So for me, the trend is still down. Well, it clearly is, but the structure hasn't changed itself. You know, it hasn't, let's say the situation itself hasn't changed. All right. We're still in an overall uptrend. That's still the idea, but in a pullback that so far hasn't completed yet. And I think that's in these situations the best mindset to have. In, I think, the previous video, I shared with you the resistance that needs to be broken in order to get a first signal that we are back in a local uptrend. Well, that resistance was respected and we declined further. So I want to keep it very simple. I had to change the wave degree though. So we are not in that smaller degree wave 4 anymore. We are at least in this one. And I already highlighted to you these two support areas for the current pullback. First one is clearly broken. So the assumption that we would get one more direct high is invalidated. So we are in this support area now. But I need some kind of a reaction for an indication that a low has formed. All right. So this would be the support area between 2006.21 and 2005.68. 2006.21 and 2005.16. We have to see if the market can form a reversal somewhere here. I don't see any signal yet. And I mean, the question with all these corrections is, right, is this all of wave 4? It is quite sharp. It certainly is quite sharp for a correction. But all I want to say with that is it could be that it's an A wave down. And we're doing, after this low is in, we're doing a B wave up and a C wave down in, you know, in a larger wave 4 maybe. But then we can't define the target for that wave 4 yet. We would need, oops, a second. We would need the wave 4, sorry, we would need the wave B, and the wave C can then be calculated. The target for the wave C can then be calculated. So it means next support is at 2005.68. This correction, I mean, I'm still labeling it, I would still label it as a 3-wave move, best I can tell. So A wave down, B wave up, C wave down. And then for the yellow count, which is the more bearish version, but we don't know that yet, I'm gonna lift the wave degree by 1. And then this is sort of, I think, what we are dealing with here. Yeah. So we have an A wave down, we have a B wave up, and it can be considered a 3-wave move down. That allows me to calculate the Fibonacci extensions for the C wave, gives me an ideal target range for a C wave. And it's typically this one between the 2005.75 levels with 100% extension, yeah, and the 161.8 extension, even though with that we would go slightly below support, which is not a problem. So these are extensions, common projections for an internal C wave. So I would certainly pay attention to that, and primary expectation would be that we're following that white scenario. However, we have to be mindful that, like always, you know, if the next rally is just corrective, it might set up for another low. But for now, even though it looks like quite a strong pullback, it is, best I can tell, a 3-wave move. Especially if we go a little bit lower, it would have an even clearer 3-wave look. So I would say next micro support based on Fib extensions is 2005.75, closely overlapping with a 50% retracement at 2005.70 or 68. So pay attention to that. and then I'm watching for a bounce. And as I said, best I can tell, we should get one more high, then a correction, and then one more high, and that could end the entire gold bull run, yeah, that we've been tracking since 2022. All right, so I don't at the moment, I mean, as long as pullbacks remain corrective or corrections remain three-wave structures, I have no evidence that a more substantial top is in place. But clearly we're still in a correction. So the local trend from that top is down, and I need to see some kind of evidence, right, that we are starting the next leg up. And for now, it looks a little bit unfinished, this C wave, so it could go a little bit lower, but we could be in the late stages of it. I mean, certainly a good signal that we've bottomed would be a break above that B wave high at 2,718. An early signal might be a break above the 50% retracement that we've bottomed, just an early signal, and that is located at 2,656. And as you know, best evidence that we've bottomed is a 5-wave move up above initial resistance. So that's what we need to be watching for in the next few days, but the trend is locally still down. I would imagine we're quite oversold now on smaller time frames. Anyway, looking at the RSI, 4-hour chart is now oversold. Yeah, I mean, pretty clearly. So it's worth paying attention to this. I don't see any bullish divergences yet, not on the 4-hour. They are starting to slowly come up on the 1-hour. So yeah, I mean, watch for a potential bounce there now in this region, right? That's what I can say. But it's not given us any signal that we've bottomed. That's the update about gold. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you're interested in daily updates about the S&P 500, as well as regular updates about stocks, feel free to check out the Stocks and S&P 500 service. You can find the link in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.